VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
And good afternoon, Vic Eliason here with Crosstalk, and today we're going to be talking about something I think which is very near to the heart of many, many people across our country. Christians are praying for the peace of Israel, and I'm weary with the various comments from the people like Ahmadinejad. I'm looking at the front page or one of the pages of the Jerusalem Post, and the headline says, Ahmadinejad Zionist regime an insult to all humanity. The Iranian president referred to Israel as a Western tool to dominate the Middle East and an insult to all humanity. He said this in a speech given at Tehran, a rally marking the annual, they call it Jerusalem Day, according to Iran's IRNA news agency. And so he is claiming that Zionist regime is an insult to humanity. We have people who are angry with Jewish people. I have, this week, I had somebody call up, a Jew hater, on the phone, spewing out all kinds of hatred things. And I may caution people who decide to do that because your comments aren't appreciated. Talk about hate mongers and people who don't even know the truth. Well, here we have another item from the Examiner. Iran vows to crush Israel if attacked. The Iranian government's retaliation to threats and aggression by the Israeli military will be immediately crushed, government-controlled IRNA news agency said on Saturday. Now, the Iranian officials are telling the Iranian people that the Israeli media is reporting stories regarding Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, interesting. The verbal stuff continues. And now Iran warns the secret U.S. bases will be hit. That's right. 6 American military bases in Israel will be destroyed by Iranian missiles should Israel attack Iranian nuclear facilities. The Islamic regime is warning the United States. Well, the Ayatollah, the former president of Iran and noted critic of the current president, said during Friday prayers in Tehran that the Israeli state will disappear from the face of the world. Only Islamic unity is achieved in the Middle East. These are statements that are coming from all over. The Ayatollah said, we will burn Tel Aviv into ashes. These are words that are not veiled. They're coming right straight out. News, interesting here, news from New York. Iran has warned Saudi Arabia and Qatar that if either country allows Israel to use its airspace, Tehran may retaliate directly against those Gulf nations, according to the informed Arab government officials speaking to WND. Well, these are interesting stories, but I have a man right now who we are thrilled to have with us periodically here on Crosstalk. And we are looking forward right now to joining with David Rubin, who is speaking to us from Israel. And David, it's always a privilege to have you with us.
Well, thank you. Good to be with you, Vic.
David, with the Iranian threats that I've mentioned and the Israeli preparations and public debate over they're continuing at a feverish pace. And the question, of course, is out there for everybody to see. Is Israel planning to attack Iran in October? Now, a political analyst and author, that's you, David. You're predicting that Israel will go it alone and soon. Tell us what your thoughts are.
Well, I think we need to look at the overall situation. We need to examine the political factors, the military factors, as well as the factors of at home, the popular factor. And I look at it like this. Almost every Israeli will agree that Israel needs to stop Iran's nuclear program, or that somebody needs to stop Iran's nuclear program. Now, if you ask Israelis, you'll see that a majority of Israelis prefer that Israel not go it alone, that Israel launch an attack either with the United States or simply having the United States do the job, or a coalition that the United States might form. That is the preference of the Israeli public, and that's why there's so much public debate. The public debate isn't about whether Israel should act against Iran, whether Iran needs to be stopped militarily. The question and the dispute in Israel and all of the very public discussions are about whether Israel should act alone or whether Israel should wait for the United States to be on board. However, a full 70% of Israelis don't believe that the Obama administration is going to do it, and that's the most recent survey. So, therefore, I expect that Israel will be launching an attack on Iran before the American elections. Before
November 6th.
That's right.
That's not.
Yeah, there's a very simple reason for that, Vic. If we don't trust Obama, we don't believe that Obama will be standing with us. Well, we don't believe Obama will be standing with us either before the elections or after the elections. However, if he's in the middle of an election campaign, a very close election campaign, the way things look right now, I don't think that he's going to come out strongly against Israel for attacking Iran.
Well, when I see, of course, the threats with all of these rockets and missiles that are allegedly targeting all of the sites in Israel, was it one of the Ayatollahs said that in 10 minutes, should there be an attack, that they would annihilate Israel and everything in sight? Whatever the attack is, it's going to have to be a big one the first time around.
Well, I've been calling for a massive attack on Iran. Let's remember it. What the history is with this country, Israel, and what the history is with the Islamic world. And by the way, this is information that I've given out in detail in my book, The Islamic Tsunami: Israel and America in the Age of Obama. Now, it's very clearly explained in there that the model war for Israel was the Six-Day War, in modern times, I should say.
That was miraculous.
Yeah, look, you could look at the wars in ancient times where Joshua was told to fight the war quickly and destroy everything of the enemy, everything existing of the enemy, and that way you win the war. But in modern times, we had a war that was fairly similar. We had the Six-Day War. We recaptured the biblical heartland in 6 days, Judea, Samaria, the areas that they call the West Bank, but which is really the historic biblical heartland. We recaptured the Golan Heights, the Sinai Desert, the Gaza Strip, all in 6 days, and on the seventh day we rested. This is, by the way, that seventh day was the Jewish Sabbath.
Oh my!
So and anyone can check their calendar to see that. And so this is not a normal nation. We're talking about a miraculous nation with a very lofty mission. And the way to win a war, when you are Israel, and frankly, if you're anyone else also, is to win it quickly, speedily, and to do it with all of your power and all of your might and all of your soul.
When I think of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, there was an enemy that was actually sending weapons even over against our western coast. And it was a horrendous thing, but everything came to a stop at that point.
But the Allies waited until that moment.
Yes.
And so the message here, and I give the Prime Minister all the credit for that, at least, that his message has been very clear that you do not wait for the enemy to attack you. And that's also a very biblical message, that that when someone comes to strike you, strike him first, and it's something that's very clear to us here in Israel.
Well, and there's no question about the threats. I mean, the threats that are coming, that it will be annihilated, destroyed. This is not a place where people are trying to have dialogue to work things out verbally in some kind of a, some type of a compromise. They're saying they want you in the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh yeah, they're very clear about it. It's been clear for a long time. And so for us, it's not a question of whether to attack. It's a question of when to attack. There is hardly anybody with any knowledge in Israel who really believes that sanctions are going to work.
David Rubin is the author of the book, The Islamic Tsunami, Israel and America in the Age of Obama. He is the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and the founder and president of Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, established after he and his 3-year-old son were both shot and wounded in a vicious terrorist attack. And as an American Israeli who's been living in Israel now for over 20 years, he sees the current events and the ramifications from a unique perspective. Now, David, what is the average person on the streets of Israel saying?
Well, what's fascinating is that everyone is talking about it. Mm-hmm. It's a topic that everyone knows is on the burner, on the front burner. It's not a question that whether Israel has to make a decision or not. It's clear that Israel has to make a decision and make it quickly. The average man on the street in Israel, and I should point out that we're a resilient people. We usually do not worry day to day about what's going on, and the ongoing national security threats are always there, whether it's terrorist attacks on the road, whether it's threats of bus bombings, whether it's missiles falling on us from Gaza or from Lebanon. The threats are always there, and the real attacks are there as well, even if they're not reported in the news sometimes. But the fact is that this is one topic that has captivated Israel, and it's a remarkably public discussion. You would think that people in Israel wouldn't be talking about it publicly because we don't want to lose the element of surprise.
Now, are Israeli citizens preparing for an attack? I mean, is there anything they can do with this threat hanging over their heads?
Oh, certainly. Well, there's the home front. There was just a new person appointed to head the home front command. There have been national drills several times in the past year or so, and the public has been informed about where to obtain gas masks. The bomb shelters in Israel are ever present. There is not one community in Israel that does not have a bomb shelter. And in fact, if someone builds a home in Israel today, he is required to build a bomb shelter. One room in the home has to be a bomb shelter at his expense.
David Rubin, our guest, we're going to be back in 60 seconds. We're talking about Israel. Is there going to be an attack on Iran soon? How soon? We'll be right back. This is Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, president of the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, from your research, what was the world like back in creation?
Chris, the Bible doesn't give us all the details, but it does tell us that world was very good. It was perfect. No pain, no suffering, no carnivorous activity, no disease. And it wasn't until Adam rejected God's authority over him that the penalty of sin was enacted. And the wages of sin is death. Our world today is dominated by death. Everything dies. People, plants, animals, inanimate objects, everything is in this cycle of decay and death. God did not and could not call this present world very good. This world is so bad that he even sent his son to die to pay sin's penalty and set things right. And he's promised a new heavens and a new earth where there'll be no more pain or suffering or death. Those things will have passed away. Then the world will be very good once again, just like it was back in Genesis.
For more on the importance of creation, call 1-800-7-GENESIS.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. We're visiting today with David Rubin, the author of the book, The Islamic Tsunami, Israel and America in the Age of Obama. He's the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, the founder and president of the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, established after he and his 3-year-old son had been shot and wounded in a terrorist attack. He's a man who has provided many times programs for us here on Crosstalk with vital information as he speaks to us today direct from Israel. David, as we were talking about the issue of citizens preparing for an attack, give us more information on that.
Well, as I said, every Israeli family has to build a bomb shelter in their home, and this is a big expense that's a burden on a lot of Israeli families. But this is something that has to be done, and we're in a state of perpetual preparation. And I should point out that the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund that you were just mentioning, which treats and runs therapy programs for children, that we've had a remarkable increase in the amount of requests coming from people for treatment for the children since all this talk about Iran has started. Yeah. We always had the terrorism on the roads. We've always had the terrorist threats, but the threat of a nuclear war is something that is a little bit overwhelming for people, and we're preparing as well. The Shiloh Israel Children's Fund we're preparing for a massive increase in people turning to us for post trauma psychological treatments and using music and art and all kinds of therapies that we do. So there's a lot to prepare for, but ultimately when it happens, it's going to happen, and hopefully it'll be fast.
And, of course, those questions, will Israel, as it's been said by so many in places of knowledge, it's not a matter of if, it's when. And the question, of course, will Israel attack before the elections? And should Israel attack after the elections? We don't know. It's assumption here at this point. But I know in Israel's preparation, I was noticing an article in a publication that I receive that it's called the Abiding Word Ministries, the Vine and the Branches. And they have published some vital information here. It said that over the past decade, Israel has been quietly building a fleet of submarines acquired from Germany. Not only were these submarines constructed in Germany, the German government has subsidized the cost of building them. And in recent weeks, 4th of the 6 submarines ordered was delivered to the Israelis with the stipulation from Germany that Israel limit its construction of settlements on the West Bank, and that it helps to construct a new sewage system in Gaza. And it's an open secret that Germany knew that these submarines would be used to carry nuclear missiles. This gives Israel a decided edge for a devastating retaliatory attack should Iran or any other nation launch nuclear weapons against it. Your thoughts on that?
We always say that there is no question that Israel has to have a technological edge, and we don't have the numbers. Lord knows we don't have the land mass that the Islamic countries have. So all that we have is our brains. And so we put those Jewish brains to work, and thank God we were able to come up with some technologically advanced materials. Now, you have to understand that when we buy things we buy weapons from the United States or from Germany or any other country, then we get to work on them, and we adapt it to our needs. So sure, I'm always happy to hear of new developments on the technological front, and I hope that we won't need to use it.
Now, if Israel attacks, what kind of response would you expect from Romney or the Romney campaign?
Well, you have to wonder what the response will be, not just from Romney, but also from Obama. I think the two go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. The main reason to attack Iran before the elections is because President Obama, in the middle of a close election campaign, will be wary about coming down too hard on Israel, and he's come down very hard on Israel in these 4 years. And if Obama gets reelected, it will be a disaster for Israel. So, any of those anti-Semites out there probably would want to vote for Obama. But the reality is that before an election, Obama is not going to want to alienate the pro-Israel vote in the United States because, thank God, the pro-Israel vote in the United States is very strong. It's stronger in the Republican Party, but it's also fairly strong in the Democratic Party, and he won't want to alienate them. And that's the reason to attack before November 6th. Now, as for Romney, I think that Romney will be very supportive of Israel if his word means anything. He's said very clearly that he would support Israel if Israel needs to launch a strike on Iran. And I would expect him to stand by that word.
I'm looking at other information as we think of the fig tree, that the budding of the fig tree. We think of how the deserts turned into gardens and what has happened historically and prophetically to Israel. Israel discovers new giant oil and gas field. Another offshore oil and gas field discovered off the coast of Haifa was announced in early June. The new discovery is believed to hold 6.7 trillion, with a T, cubic feet of gas and 1.4 billion, with a B, barrels of oil. And although this discovery is not as large as the Tamar and Leviathan fields, its quality and quantity guarantees Israel energies for decades to come, and the first well is being prepared now. New discoveries will greatly enhance Israel's economy and make the shekel one of the strongest currencies in the world. Israel expects to become energy self-sufficient in 3 years. You've been blessed.
Oh, there's certainly no question about that. It's not just that we've been blessed. I strongly believe that the Almighty has had mercy on us because we were true with good intentions. We gave away the Sinai Desert coming on close to 30 years now. And in the Sinai Desert, Israel had developed oil fields. And at that time, it was predicted that we would become oil self-sufficient within a matter of years. Well, we gave it away. We gave it back to Egypt. And, of course, we see where Egypt is going with the Muslim Brotherhood now, and we see the terrorism emanating from the Sinai Desert. So it was obviously a mistake to give back the Sinai Desert. But on the other hand, the Almighty, in His graciousness, has granted us with a modern day miracle, and we just have energy on all sides of us now, gas, oil, shale, and what have you, and we're putting it all to good work, and hopefully, as you said, soon we will be self-sufficient in energy, and we'll even be a gas exporting country very soon. So I hope that all that will come through very soon, and I hope that it will change the geopolitical landscape.
Folks, we're talking with David Rubin, who has served for some time in the past as mayor of Shiloh. He is the founder and president of the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund. He's a man who has written powerful books, and here is one that you need to get and read. It's called The Islamic Tsunami, Israel and America in the Age of Obama. You'll find it very interesting. Where can they best get it? Is it Amazon?
It's up there on Amazon.com.
Okay.
And you can also dial a toll-free number 24 hours. Okay,
if you give us that. Mm-hmm.
And that number is 1-800-431-1579. That's 1-800-431-1579. 1579. You just tell them you want the Islamic Tsunami by David Rubin.
Now, folks, we're going to open the phone lines right at this moment. David, what time is it there in Israel?
Oh, it's now about 10:36 p.m.
Oh, my goodness.
Nice and early.
Yes. And, of course, here we are in the afternoon. But, folks, if you'd like to join us right now and have a conversation with David, perhaps you'd like to share with him your prayers for Israel. And, again, I'm going to give word of warning because there are a few people who I consider completely out of line. We're not afraid of honest discussion. But when we have people who call in who obviously are hateful toward Jews, and we do have caller ID, and any abusive calls will be registered. Again, we open our phone lines right now, 800-733-9829, 800-733-9829. We appreciate being able to have David with us today. Many of you appreciate the programs that come your way every day, Monday through Friday. And the programs, again, are repeated on the VCY network at 8 p.m. in the evening, but perhaps the networks, many of them that are carrying the program, don't repeat it in the evening, but you can go to crosstalkamerica.com, and you'll be able to bring those archives back and listen to them, along with many, many others. So it's a point of contact, and you can invite your friends to view or listen. And if you'd like to get a CD of any of the programs, those are available simply by calling our 800 number, 800-729-9829, 800-729-9829 for CDs. But we encourage you to download them as well off the Internet, share them, tell others about them, keep the vital information going. In just a few moments, we're going to be taking a break. But again, I remind you that giving a word of thanks to your station management, we always appreciate so much the privilege of being on stations. Some of these, in fact, I think it was Tommy Sneed told me we'd been on the air over 19 years in Chattanooga, Tennessee with this program. It's been around a long time. We've covered hundreds and hundreds, I guess many hundreds of programs, probably in the thousands by now. But the topics we try to bring to you are those that literally cover the issues that face our world. And I would encourage you to pray for us as we broadcast. Pray that God will give us wisdom, and pray for the guests as we have them on the air. Now, you may disagree with some of our guests. That's fine. This is your privilege. And sometimes our guests that are on the air who may have a viewpoint that you may not agree with. That's what America is all about. But today we're talking about something that's very serious, and that is when we're talking about Israel and Iran's effort to put Israel into the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. So be on the lines. Our lines are jammed from Mitchell, South Dakota, Pensacola, Florida, Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and, of course, our home city here in Milwaukee. So we'll be coming right back right after the break, and we'll be going on the air with our friend David Rubin and your call to Crosstalk, 800-733-9829. Write it down, and as soon as you hear us terminate one call, call right in, and you'll be the next in line. We'll be right back in 60 seconds.
The basis of scientific research is to find the truth, and scientists, of all people, are supposed to have open minds and be willing to look at all the evidence. However, history has told us that once an idea has become entrenched, even scientists find it difficult to accept anything that deviates from the idea. This is now the case with evolution, and the theory of evolution is now a dogma. Refuting evolution has now been taken to a new level. In the book, Evolution Impossible, Dr. John Ashton provides some of the most compelling and authoritative rebuttals of evolution today. Chapter by chapter, in straightforward language, he provides 12 compelling reasons why evolution is false. He uses discoveries in genetics, biochemistry, geology, radiometric dating, and other scientific disciplines to explain why the theory of evolution is but a myth. Evolution Impossible is available from VCY America for a donation of $17 or more by calling 1-800-729-9829. That's 1-800-729-9829.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where today we're visiting with David Rubin, live from Israel. He's the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and the founder and president of the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, which ministers to the needs of little boys and girls there in Israel. He recalls very much the time when he and his 3-year-old son were both shot and wounded in a vicious terrorist attack. And, of course, today we've been talking about the issues of imminent attack on Iran before Iran makes their attack against Israel, because they want to push Israel into the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Let's go right now to Pensacola, Florida, and we're going to talk with Michael. And, Michael, how are you? You're on the air with David Rubin.
Yes, sir. The question I want to ask Mr. Rubin is here. You know that Iran has been after you guys for many, many years. The question I want to ask you is, why have you guys retaliated already? What's taking so long?
Okay, well, it's an excellent question, and the answer is that the Israeli government has been watching developments very carefully to see when the Iranians are going to be at the point where it would be considered the breaking point. You have to remember, we're much like the United States, we're a country with different governments, where there could be changes from, like in America, you have change from Democrat to Republican. In Israel, we had the Labor Party, and we have the Likud, which is more to the right, Labor Party more to the left. And so it's a different approach. Very often, you will not have that urge to launch a preemptive strike on another country with a particular government. And my personal opinion is that we should have done it a long time ago. We've helped them to build up their defenses, but it's analogous to a heavyweight championship boxing match, where you have the two parties preparing their strategies, one on the offense and one on the defense, and very often it's reversed. Ultimately, the night of the fight comes, and we see who's more prepared. So yes, we could say that not doing it sooner has enabled the Iranians to prepare their defenses. On the other hand, we've been preparing our offenses, and we'll see who is ready, who is more prepared. But again, I agree with the caller. I think in many ways, I think it was a mistake to wait this long. Partially, we were also waiting for the Americans to get on board. It's been 4 years that President Obama has been telling Prime Minister Netanyahu to let sanctions have a chance, and has been pressuring heavily in that respect. On the other hand, Prime Minister Netanyahu has been trying to convince President Obama that we need to go forward with the military option. So there are a lot of political issues as well here.
Let's go to Mitchell, South Dakota, and we're talking to Tom. Tom, you're on the air.
Yes. I first of all, my heart is sad for the potential loss of life in your country, and I pray for you for that. But how is your country in the awareness of having a God who is on your side in this thing? And I'm living in a time when I'm about to see my mighty God work a miracle with you guys over there. And my prayers are with you.
Well, I appreciate those words. I think that that's really the core of everything. I mean, obviously we have these military decisions and political decisions to make, but ultimately, when we get to the point where we understand that the God of Israel has brought us back to the land of Israel after 2,000 years, it's not just something that happened by chance. It's not just something that happened by our own this world efforts. Once we place our full faith in Him, then we will go back to the time when we were winning Six-Day Wars. That's really what it's all about, and I appreciate you for bringing that up.
Let's move right along. We're going to go from Tom and Mitchell to West Milwaukee. We're going to talk with John. John, you're on the air with David Rubin.
Yes, I was wondering how an attack of Iran would compare with the parable of the wheat and the tares, where the servants are said not to gather them up, lest while you gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together till the harvest, and the harvest is the end of the world. And I'll listen to.
Well, first, before you do, let me just ask a question, John, because your question is in some ways kind of convoluted. First of all, they're talking about a harvest here. This is a battle, and these are people who are not bent on merging together. They're bent on destruction and annihilation. So I don't know that I can find any parallels there. So, again, if we can kind of keep our target together, I think it'll be great. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Let's go to Rice Lake, Wisconsin. Daniel, you're on the air.
Hello. After Israel attacks, is it likely that Iran, in retaliation, would attempt to close the Straits of Hormuz, cutting off oil tankers from the Gulf? And would America then be forced to join Israel's war against Iran?
Okay, well, that's a reasonable question. I certainly think that we need to be watching very carefully what the potential responses would be from the different parties. And I maintain that if Israel acts massively and quickly and speedily and is successful, and if it's clear that this is no contest, so to speak, I don't think anyone's going to be jumping in except maybe the Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon, which is, after all, an Iranian proxy. I think that most of the countries in the Middle East are very wary about stepping into a war like this, and I think that most of the countries in the Middle East, even though they're Islamic and they are very anti-Israel, I don't think they want the Iranians to get nuclear weapons, and if they can stop the Iranians from getting nuclear weapons, well, they're going to allow anyone to do the job for them. So I think they would sit. They would sit calmly and maybe make a few statements in support of the Iranians and Islamic Brotherhood, so to speak. But I don't think that most of them are going to act, except perhaps the Hezbollah. As far as the Iranians, if they are on the defensive the whole time, I don't know how much they're really going to be able to do.
Let's go right now to West Dallas. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Vic, when your guest mentioned the fact that Obama doesn't stand with Israel, I was just chuckling because it's like, hey, welcome to my world. He doesn't stand with the U.S. either. But the main thing I called about was what you, Vic, brought up about these Jew haters that might call every now and then. I got a little message for them. Some of them call themselves Christians as well, and they might as well forget it. They're wasting their time. You cannot be on the side of the devil against the Jewish people, God's chosen people, and a Christian at the same time. So you have to decide what side you're going to be on.
Well
I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Let's go to Ringgold, Georgia, and talk with Doug. Doug, you're on the air.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rubin. I tell you, God is not going to let Israel be annihilated. I don't care what those other folks say. Now, they might get the slop whooped out of them, but they ain't going to be annihilated. It's not very encouraging, but God...
No, actually, it is encouraging. We have a promise in the book of Zechariah that says that there may be two exiles, there will not be a third one. And I believe that to be true. There may be a lot of destruction, though, and there may be a lot of death and a lot of suffering. So while I don't believe that we're going to be exiled again, there is always that possibility, and we have a responsibility to be prepared for it.
Thank you, Doug, from Ringgold, Georgia. We're going to go to Venice, Florida, and talk with Holly. Holly, you're on the air.
Hi, and God bless you. I agree with the previous caller about the Jewish people being God's chosen people, but I am curious about how this is in line with the end times predictions. I know that it talks about Israel being surrounded by enemies in the end times. So I'm just kind of curious about your take on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, it seems clear that we're seeing a lot of that happening today. All you have to do is look around us and being surrounded by enemies. It's not just Iran, and it's not just the Hezbollah terrorist organization. It's not just the Hamas terrorist organization. It's also Syria, where we have a civil war going on right now between two strong enemies of Israel. We have Assad, who's always been an enemy of Israel. We have the Muslim rebels fighting against him, who are dominated by the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda, who are two terrorist organizations, one masquerading as a political party. And then if you look over in Egypt, where we supposedly had a peace treaty, now we have the Muslim Brotherhood in power. So we're surrounded by enemies. There's no question about that. And we just have to hope and pray that the God of Israel will stand with us. I believe he will. And we need to be strong.
You know, I was listening to the president on the iftar dinner there in the White House, and he was shouting the praises of Ummah Abedin, who is directly connected with the Muslim Brotherhood, and who sits in the White House advising the president on Islamic issues. And she is the assistant to the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and has been proven that she has direct connections with the Muslim Brotherhood. How much more complicated can we make it, David?
Oh, sure. No, look, I've written about this in the Islamic Tsunami, that there are people in the Obama administration, and I wasn't speaking about that one in particular, but there was someone who was appointed to the Home Front Command, who was playing a vital advisory role in internal security, who adheres to Islamist philosophy of jihad. It doesn't call for it openly, but he associates with those who do. So I think there's a problem, and remember, we're talking about Obama's first term. Mm-hmm. If Obama gets a second term, I think that all gloves will be off, and we will see the full hostile, anti-Israel, anti-America Obama that I think lies below the surface.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to move right along here. We're going to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and talk with Marilyn. Marilyn, you're on the air.
Thank you. Yes, I just want to...
Marilyn, could you hold right there? We're up against the break, and we'll put you right on the moment the break is over, okay?
Thank you.
Stay with us and invite a friend to listen to Crosstalk every day, Monday through Friday, and there are some stations that use it on the weekend for a special, but whatever it is, it's here to serve you, and we ask that you would contact your station and thank them for the privilege that we have of presenting truth over your radio waves. We'll be right back.
For the Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brennan House. Our website is worldviewweekend.com. Real spiritual warfare, what is it? It's not running around railing at demons, but destroying the lies raised up against the truth of God's Word. 2 Corinthians 10:3-5 declares, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ." Real spiritual warfare is battling for the hearts and minds of people using biblical theology and doctrine, the truth of God's Word. That's what spiritual warfare is, proclaiming biblical truth, destroying arguments, philosophies, fables, ideas raised up against the principles of the Lord. It is not running around railing at demons, something even the angels don't do, according to Jude.
And welcome back to Crosstalk, where Marilyn is standing by in Fort Wayne, Indiana, very patiently. And Marilyn, you're on the air with David Rubin.
Hi, David. I'm just calling to let you know that my husband and I are in support of Israel and in all the ways that God will preserve you, and just as He's promised in the Word, that you will come forth as a shining nation and as He has prepared you to be. And that's what I want to say today.
Well, thank you, Marilyn.
Well, thank you, Marilyn.
God bless you, Marilyn. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Let's go to Chris in Pensacola, Florida. And Chris, you're on the air.
Hello, David. I got a very important question to ask you. Is it God leading Israel into war? Because I remember in Ezekiel, it talk about Persia, which is Iran today. They will try to attack, but it's not going to be successful. Are you giving your opinion on this program based on strict biblical, what the Bible says, or are you making it political to sound like it's all Obama's fault of what's happening over there in the Middle East?
Well, let me say this, Pat, before we go further, Chris. Nobody has said a word about Mr. Obama. So let's get that out of the way.
Well, I'm hearing he's saying about Obama is Obama opinion. I'm hearing politics rather than biblical. Is it Jesus?
No, you're not. You're not hearing politics. You're talking about terrorism. When anybody threatens to tear a country apart and push it into the Mediterranean Sea, that's not politics. That's terrorism.
Because no nation can. I believe no nation could touch Israel at all. I believe that in all my heart, unless it is approved from above. No nation is any nation that come against Israel, if it is not sanctioned from God, it will not be successful. So the question is it Obama or is it God?
Very interesting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I could answer that
sure.
question, Vic. Okay, first of all, the Bible is filled with instructions on how to fight wars. Now, if Joshua, if Saul, if Moses had, if all of these leaders of Israel, these great leaders of Israel, King David and all of them had just said, okay, Israel is not going to be touched, therefore we are not going to do what we need to do, then I think Israel would have been destroyed a long time ago. The Bible is filled with instructions on how to guide ourselves in war, and we act according to that. So I think that the comment is very strange. Yes, we do pray that the God of Israel will stand with us as always, and that He will guide us to do the right thing and do it at the right time and in the right way.
All right, Chris, from Pensacola, Florida, we're going to go to Pat in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Pat, you're on the air.
Hi, I just want to say thank you, David, for coming and for letting us know what's going on over in Israel. And I want to tell you, I truly love the Jewish people, and I truly love Israel. God said, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And people in the United States want to think they're smart. And I'm an American. I live in the United States, and I'm proud of my country also. But when my country will go up against Israel, they better watch out. They better stick by Israel, because I also know what the Bible says, and I fear God. And I just want you to know that you have nothing to fear, because God is with you, and He's with Israel, and He will stand by you, and you will win in the end.
Thank you so much, Pat. Appreciate that. Time is getting very tight on time. Let's go to Jack in Portage, Wisconsin, very quickly. Hello, Jack.
Jack, hello. Greetings, Mr. Eliason and Mr. Rubin, in the name of Christ.
Yes.
I want to say that I support Israel 100%. I stand behind you. I would be honored to fight beside you. And I think you should have attacked a long time ago. That's it. That's pretty much all I've got to say. Thank you, sir, and goodbye.
Thank you, Jack, from Portage, Wisconsin. Let's go to Anna quickly in Ixonia, Wisconsin. And Anna, you're on the air.
Hello, Baruch Hashem Adonai. I'm crying. My Lord and my God has put Israel on my heart for many, many years now, and I just want to say, praise the Lord, and we're backing you 100%.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that. We go to Sean in Wisconsin, and Sean, you're on the air.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I'm just curious. I'm thinking about going to Israel this fall to do a tour of the Holy Land. Do you think that that's safe to do?
Oh, there's absolutely no question about it. Israel is the safest place on earth. I know it seems like a paradox to say that, but it's certainly true. I mean, yes, we have these threats hanging over our heads all the time. Yes, there is terrorism, and there is occasionally war. But people walk the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're without fear, and it's a blessed place to be. And when you come, you should come to Shiloh, by the way.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Well, we've got 1 minute left, and David, that's yours.
Okay, well, I'll just say to all of your listeners that I very much appreciate the words of support for Israel in these difficult times, and that's what I've heard a lot of in this past half hour of phone calls. And I just want people to know that just as the United States hopefully will stand by Israel, that Israel stands with the United States in these difficult times, and they're difficult times for all of us. And I just want to say that those people who want to stand with Israel in very concrete ways should get onto our website, which is ShilohIsraelChildren.org. That's ShilohIsraelChildren.org, where they can find out about the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, because the terror victim children are going to be needing a lot of assistance in the days ahead, and I invite people to partner with us at ShilohIsraelChildren.org. And also, of course, to get on Amazon.com, get a copy of the Islamic Tsunami, and then spread the word.
Thank you so much, David, and always good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Vic. Good to be with you.
Bye-bye now.
God bless you.
Thank you, folks, for joining us. Another edition of Crosstalk.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the Internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208. Or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for Crosstalk.